Hello and welcome to my channel. Welcome to another video from me. If you are new here, my name is Martine and I do videos on Vedic astrology mainly, but also with some tropical insights. And I focus on both natal and relationship astrology. And if you're interested in a private consultation from me, you can check out the video description. I will leave my contact information there. You can email me for a list of prices and reading options and other details. And of course, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Also, click on the notifications bell if you want to see when I will post a new video. And please comment in the comment section with any feedback you would like to give or ideas for future topics that you would like me to cover. I also want to mention that I have started a membership section on my channel. And just briefly, the members only options entail one new extra video per membership level and at each per month. All right. And I will be posting them between the first of the current month and the first of the next month. I cannot promise that I will post on particular dates, such as every Monday or anything like that. But basically, I will be posting 3 extra videos at least for the members only areas, one for each level. And at each level, you have access to the previous videos from the previous levels, which means that if you are a level 2 member, you will have 2 extra videos per month, the ones from level 1 and level 2. And if you are a member in the level 3 section, you will have access to 3 extra videos per month from the previous levels as well as the level 3 video. And in addition to that, you will have access to members only polls, and you'll have priority with respect to getting your comments replied to. And you will also have like a badge next to your username that shows that you are a members section person. And you will also have stickers that are specific for the members only section. And I've also left playlists in the video description with all the videos that I have done, which are available now for each membership section. If you're curious, you can check them out if you're interested in anything. And also, in addition to that, if you are interested to see the prices per each level, you can click the join button under any of my videos, because the prices will show according to the local currency, right? And that's what I wanted to say about the members only section. And also I want to mention before I get into it that I also have a tarot channel, and I will be linking it in the video description as well as in the pinned comment. So if you're interested in tarot, go ahead and check it out. Maybe subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. So today's topic is, like I have announced on my community page, about plastic surgery and how it might keep people single. But single. And what I wanted to say is that, as kind of a disclaimer, is that obviously this is not something based on ancient texts, because plastic surgery wasn't even around 3,000 years ago or more when Vedic astrology was being developed. But it's something that I have thought about, especially recently, since I have done a lot of videos talking about physical appearance and how the natal chart of a person can show a person's aesthetic ideal. I have talked about this especially in the last video, and actually the last 2 videos that I posted on my channel. And again, I will be linking all of the related videos in the video description for this video. Related videos as in anything that I mentioned in this video or anything connected to this topic. So if you're interested in getting more information about them, you can check out the list in the video description. So yes, it's not something that obviously comes from ancient wisdom, but it is something that I've been thinking about many times. And I have also kind of briefly touched upon this topic in various ways throughout many videos, that each person has not just an aesthetic ideal, but also a particular type when it comes to personality and energy and, in other words, a lot of the videos on my channel are about how you can figure out your ideal partner, the kind of person you're going to end up in a relationship with, the kind of person that is compatible to you, basically, based on your horoscope. But there is a segment to this topic of compatibility that has to do with your aesthetic ideal, your type, so to speak. And it's important to note that the physical appearance also matters when it comes to how you recognize a potentially compatible partner. And see, the whole problem with plastic surgery is that it changes a person's appearance. And basically, by changing someone's appearance, you will appeal to a different kind of person than you would have originally appealed to, which is something you don't really hear being talked about. But it's like we live in a world that seems to think there is only one particular style of beauty, which is ridiculous. And astrology definitely contradicts that. Just as I've mentioned in the previous video, different people have different types, different beauty ideals. And the problem is that we live in a world where, I don't know if you've noticed this, but like more and more people, especially when it comes to women, because I think that women are more pressured, but it's also with men sometimes, where you see a lot of women starting to get plastic surgery and they end up looking the same. You know, like, for instance, it's really common nowadays for a lot of women to get lip fillers. It's like so common, even though I live in Eastern Europe, for instance, where you would think that women don't get surgery because, I mean, it's pretty expensive, first of all, and a lot of people can't afford it. But it's also just, you know, let's say it's less popular than maybe in places like America or even Western Europe. But I still know a lot of women, especially past the age of 30, who have a lot of cosmetic procedures. I was thinking about this, like some of my former classmates from high school that I barely recognize anymore because of all the stuff that they have done to their faces. And the thing is that all of these women start to look the same. They all tend to have like full lips, which obviously look unnatural. They all tend to have like small shaped noses. They get their faces filled out as well to get like fuller cheeks. And even though a lot of these features technically, or a lot of these procedures are being done to make a person look more youthful, they also, without mistake, also change a person's features on a very basic level, especially if you're talking about things that drastically change the face. Like, for instance, let's say you have a really large nose and you get a nose job and now you look like a totally different person. Or even things like, you know, let's say getting full cheeks and full lips. Not everyone actually sees that as the perfect ideal. And also when it comes to beauty, I think it's important to distinguish again between the biological and the individual aspects of what a person finds beautiful. Similarly to what I have talked about in the video where I described my view of gender, I mentioned there that I think there's this whole confusion going on about gender and gender roles, especially when it comes to relationships and what men find attractive versus what women find attractive in a mate and all this stuff. And I mentioned there that I think it's pretty obvious to me that people have a biological side and then they have a more spiritual individual side. And then on top of that, there are also social pressures, which might also play a part and actually further confuse people with respect to what they really want and what would really make them happy. But won't get into the whole philosophy here. Again, I will be linking that video in the description again if you're interested to find out more about the topic. But what I was going to say is that with respect to beauty ideals and what a person finds attractive, you can see that there are typical biological features, like for instance the fact that men, yes, generally tend to be drawn to characteristics that make a woman look young and fertile more than women would care about this in a man, for instance. And I think when it comes to plastic surgery, it's these biological features that are being overly emphasized. This is why so many women are getting lip fillers and cheek implants and like cheek fillers and getting anti-aging procedures because it's overly focused on this idea that you have to look as young as possible for as long as possible. And whereas with men, there's like things like, well, the fact that you're supposed to be muscular and, I don't know, look physically strong and all that stuff. And there are also these cliches, like all women like, for instance, really strong jawlines. And there are men getting jaw implants in order to look like that. And I think this is totally ignoring things like individual preferences. For instance, I can speak from my personal experience that me having the kind of aesthetic ideals that I have also shown in my horoscope, I've never, for instance, liked particularly huge jaws in a man. I've never understood the whole like hype behind having like, I don't know, David Hasselhoff level of jaws. Like, I don't get that. But again, just giving myself as an example, I'm not trying to say that women in general maybe don't notice big jaws, but there will always be individual preferences. And my whole point about this is that you're completely glossing over. So by getting plastic surgery, you're glossing over the fact that some people may not prefer the features that you think are ideal, right? And when it comes to what makes you attractive, I talk about these aspects in synastry, for instance. I've talked about them in the previous video. For instance, you could have Venus conjunct ascendant in synastry, where a person's Venus is conjunct the other person's ascendant. It means that the ascendant person is going to match the physical beauty ideal of the Venus person to a large extent. But what happens if the ascendant person has heavily altered their physical appearance through cosmetic procedures of all kinds, right? So they no longer match the aesthetic ideal of the Venus person, not to the extent that they would have originally. You know what I mean? I know this is a pretty controversial take, and obviously I don't have like scientific studies to back this up, but just based on like my intuition, and I'm going to get more into a little bit of examples as I go along, I am willing to bet that this is true, at least to some extent. Let me give an example, for instance. Let's say that your ideal partner, the kind of person that would match you and be compatible with you, has Venus in Capricorn, for instance, and aspected by Saturn. And let's say you don't have any other stronger, like, let's say, mercurial energy there influencing that Venus, or any stronger moon energy there influencing the Venus. This person might actually prefer women, so talking about men especially, but not only, as I mentioned in the previous video, because Venus shows a person's aesthetic ideals. It's just that in a woman's chart, you also want to check the Mars energy, because that's what women find physically attractive in a man as well. But for a man especially, the Venus is definitely the ideal of physical beauty. So let's say that this man has a lot of Saturn energy on his Venus, and his ideal partner would be someone who also has a lot of Saturn energy on her ascendant, right? Because that would match, it would mean that her physical appearance matches his ideal, because the ascendant is the single strongest influencer of your physical appearance and the way you carry yourself, your physical body, everything, literally, your physical structure, your height, and a lot of things can be seen from just the ascendant. And let's say this woman who has ascendant in Capricorn and a lot of Saturn energy naturally on her ascendant has had a lot of lip fillers and cheek implants and I don't know, all these procedures that are meant to make her look like, 10 to 20 years younger. The thing is that this guy that was originally meant to find her attractive is no longer going to find her to be his aesthetic ideal. And again, also because, let's say, when you have a man who has a lot of Saturn connected to Venus, it's not just that he will prefer, for instance, but he might actually prefer a woman who has thin lips, or a woman who has like less fleshiness around her face and maybe some harsh features, right? And because this woman now has bought into the hype that you have to look 25 forever, has severely altered her appearance, she may no longer appeal to a partner that might have been actually compatible to her. You know what I mean? And it's the same vice versa for men to a large extent, Another thing that I wanted to mention about this is also in line with one of my latest community posts where I cracked that joke about that meme connected to connected to women who have Venus opposite their ascendant and that they might feel unattractive. This is because, again, people, their beauty ideals are shown by Venus. So oftentimes, and you actually see this a lot with people who have Venus in the ascendant, for instance, because their beauty ideal matches their actual physical appearance, right? Because the ascendant, again, shows the appearance, the features you're going to get, and Venus shows your beauty ideal. So not only is Venus going to bring out the best of those energies, also people with Venus in the ascendant tend to be very good looking, but it also shows that their beauty ideal shown by Venus matches their appearance. So you often see that people who have Venus with the ascendant tend to be a little bit narcissistic. They really like the way that they look. To some extent, you can also see this with when Venus is conjunct the Lord of the ascendant. You see this level of self-love, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I've seen this time and again, and I've mentioned this in other videos, especially with women who have Venus in the ascendant, they can become very narcissistic because they really see themselves as very attractive and, you know, love their appearance. And you will generally see that these women will not seek to severely alter their appearance. Whereas women who have Venus in the 7th house, which means opposite their ascendant, they will have a very hard time seeing themselves as attractive. Even when they are very attractive to other people, they will still have this feeling of like dissatisfaction. And this is because their aesthetic ideal shown by Venus is literally the opposite of what they actually look like. And this is another problem. See, because people, when they get plastic surgery, they tend to get surgery. And I'm not just talking about surgery, because I know maybe some people are going to attack me in the comments and say that, well, getting fillers or I don't know, getting all kinds of aesthetic procedures is not the same as getting surgery. True, it doesn't matter how you call it. Yes, I know they're divided into, surgical procedures, non-surgical procedures, invasive, non-invasive, whatever you want to call it. I'm talking about altering your physical features, and this is what I was getting at, is that people, when they get surgery, they tend to get surgeries to match their personal aesthetic ideal, which may not be the same as other people's ideals, you know what I mean? So, for instance, let's look at women who have Venus opposite their ascendant. They themselves may think that they're not particularly attractive, but they might come across men who have their Venus conjunct these women's ascendant, and those men will find them very attractive and very beautiful, but they themselves will not see themselves like that. And they will try to alter their appearance in such a way as to match their aesthetic ideals, which might actually keep compatible men away from them. Because especially, here's the thing, when you're talking about compatibility, it is true that for a lot of people, you're not meant to have like one person that is written in the stars and you're going to marry them at this date under a tree, I don't know, guarded by a lizard. But in a lot of cases, yes, it's true that some people are meant to have multiple marriages, multiple relationships, but each of these relationships, even when you're meant to have, let's say, multiple marriages in life, they are still described by your horoscope. So the kind of people that you are meant to attract according to your horoscope and meant to have as compatible partners are going to be shown by your horoscope. So if you alter your appearance, right, it is believable intuitively for me that these people would have aspects in synastry, such as, let's say, maybe the Venus conjunct your ascendant, that would make them be attracted to you as well. So if you alter, again, your appearance, you're kind of altering your chances of finding someone that, hey, might have recognized you, immediately. And it's even furthermore emphasized in a situation where you actually look at someone's horoscope and you see that they are meant to have maybe a karmic contract level of marriage where they're meant to be with this one person, like, I don't know, this one very specific person where they just, lock eyes for the first time and they kind of have this feeling of deja vu. And they're just like, okay, I know that this is the person I'm going to marry. Maybe they won't actually think of marriage immediately, but there will be this kind of recognizing feeling, right, between the two people. And I can't help but think that to a large extent, plastic surgery could alter these things. You know, the ability of people to, or even soulmates, let's say, recognize one another. And you kind of see this in society that, and again, I don't want to make like gross generalizing statements, but just thinking about some of the few women that I've known, famous and non-famous, like women that I've known as well in my personal life who have had plastic surgery. And even though they're very beautiful, you know, some of them tasteful plastic surgery where you can barely see that they've had work done, they seem to be struggling a lot in their love lives. Like one of them that I know is this really gorgeous looking woman that has had a nose job some years ago. I used to work with her, and I don't know, like she was complaining about not finding a stable partner. And I, you know, again, I cannot know 100% that this is the reason why, you know. To be fair, I have not analyzed her horoscope. I don't know her full date of birth. But intuitively, again, I can't help but wonder if maybe it's something that affects her chances. Even something like, you know, getting a bump shaved off your nose. You might think that, well, you're improving your appearance and therefore you are improving the chances of actually finding the ideal romantic partner. But again, what if your ideal romantic partner, again, has like Saturn or Mars aspecting their Venus? And generally these kinds of people tend to like appearances that are a little bit flawed or more prominent, or, you know, how should I put it? Maybe tough looking a little bit, you know, and yeah, I mean, this is something that I can think about. And that's something I wanted to say, is that a lot of these women seem to be struggling to find, you know, suitable partners. Now, I haven't analyzed the men's situations as much. Maybe it's also true for men. I don't know. I don't know that many men who have had plastic surgery, but I'm pretty sure you can actually see it among famous people as well, that a lot of these men who have also had extensive surgeries probably struggle with their love lives as well. And, but when it comes to women, I mean, just think about women like, I don't know, like, even Lana Del Rey. I mean, Lana Del Rey is a great example, to be honest. I don't know if she is married right now. I don't know. I don't think she is. But I know that she has had multiple relationships, but she doesn't seem to be like in a very content place when it comes to her love life. Now, it could be like also some karmic thing going on, sure. But I can't help but wonder if, you know, all the plastic surgery she has done has somehow, you know, messed up her ability to get recognized by suitable partners. And she also ironically has Venus in the 7th house. Like I said, Venus conjunct Rahu. And by the way, I've actually noticed this a lot with women who have Rahu influencing the ascendant and or Venus. They tend to be more like plastic surgery happy than the rest of the population, because I think Rahu again also rules the world of illusions, the Maya, as the Indians call it, in the sense that it creates this kind of smoke and mirrors effect. So Rahu likes the glitz and glamour, and it doesn't care so much about authenticity. You know, I can also think of this other woman. I don't know her horoscope, but there's this woman I watch on YouTube that I'm pretty sure many of you have heard about. Her name used to be Stargirl, the Practical Witch. I don't know if I think she changed her name now. And I have been watching her readings on YouTube for, like, I was going to say centuries, but I don't know when she started out, but I've been watching her for years. And like, she has gotten more and more and more plastic surgery. And again, I don't know what her situation is, but just based on some things she has mentioned in her videos talking about her love life, it does sound like she's struggling in her love life as well, or like she hasn't really had much luck in that department. And I don't know, again, I'm spotting a pattern here. I also can think of Cher, for instance, who definitely has severely altered her appearance. She, again, does not seem, or did not seem for a long time, like she was in a good place with respect to her love life either. And then also Angelina Jolie to some extent. With Angelina Jolie, I think she hasn't altered her appearance that much, but she has done some stuff definitely to her face. And that's another thing that I wanted to mention is that it's like when you look at these cases of plastic surgery, it's like the more people alter their appearance, the more it tends to affect their lives, you know, in a negative sense, I think. And when you think about it, a lot of the women that have had plastic surgery and have stayed in happy relationships were generally married before they had plastic surgery. I can think of, again, this is based on like general observation. Obviously, I haven't done extensive studies, so it is based mostly on my intuition and just the knowledge that I have from astrology. I'm not 100% sure, but keep mentioning this disclaimer. But I'm just thinking of a lot of things that point in this direction. Like I said, so a lot of these women who have had surgery, like think of Priscilla Presley, for instance, or Dolly Parton, or I can think again of another YouTuber that I watch every now and then. Her name is Lori Hill. She actually has a channel where she talks about plastic surgery. And I actually watched a video where she talked about her experiences having plastic surgery. And she made it pretty clear that she was married. I don't know for how long, and I don't know the full history of her love life, but she is married. She does have a child, and it was, after marriage that she went through pretty extensive plastic surgery supported by her husband. So, it tends to kind of match this to a large extent. I don't really know any case really where a person has had like serious plastic surgery and they've had like perfect family lives and met the perfect partner, stayed together forever, had kids and all that stuff. I don't know. There might be cases out there, I just haven't heard of them. But even if there are cases like that, I'm willing to bet that to a large extent it's like the person who has had surgery somehow has taken on a new persona in a sense, like has, I don't know, not just changed their appearance, but like changed their whole behavior to match their new image, if that makes sense. But I would say, again, in these cases, again, another great example, Michael Jackson, he did not have a happy love life. I was just thinking about this now. I mean, of course, Michael Jackson is a whole can of worms that I'm not going to get into because there were all these accusations about him and whatever weird stuff about his sexuality. But again, you could also see it as it could be that he messed up his appearance to such an extent that he ruined his chances of finding someone who was actually compatible. And by the way, I'm not trying to say that in these cases the people who get surgery cannot get good results from a purely aesthetic point of view. Obviously, a lot of these people can be very attractive from a conventional, quote-unquote, conventional point of view. And of course, it's also interesting to take into account the fact that we are in the age of Aquarius. I've mentioned this again repeatedly throughout my posts and my videos that we are in very Rahuvian times, and everything Rahu is about artificial stuff. It's all about to which extent can we change nature and ourselves and everything according to our will. And Rahu is also the lord of the Maya. It's all about the material world of illusions. So I feel like it's actually going hand in hand. There's this generalized confusion about what is truly meaningful in life, in the world. And plastic surgery is just one of the many reflections of the general confusion in the world. People think that it's more important to just look, young forever or to fit some kind of social pressure rather than being authentic. And speaking of authenticity, this is also something I wanted to get at. I have mentioned also in other videos that authenticity is very important when it comes to, finding, for instance, a suitable partner, because if you don't show your true nature, then you can never really attract someone who is going to be truly compatible with you. And this is true not just with respect to your energy, but also with respect to your actual physical appearance, true. And also the way you present yourself to some extent as well. What kind of style you have, what you like to, how you like to dress yourself and how you like to present yourself, that also counts. But obviously plastic surgery takes it to the next level where you really alter your appearance. And again, to various degrees. Even when it comes to the topic of just looking young, again, you could talk about people who don't particularly like youthful looking individuals. And I've actually said this again in multiple other videos, like even when it comes to men, if you look at a man's horoscope and you see that he has a lot of Saturn influencing Venus, his Dharaka, there are men out there that I've also, met a few in person who clearly had a preference for older women, even like older looking women who look more mature. Right? So it's like, again, if you are a woman, let's say in your 40s or 50s, and you're constantly getting surgery to look no older than 30, and maybe, again, what if the right partner for you is someone that actually would like someone more mature, right? And you, by constantly altering your appearance, you're actually, again, creating confusion. Well, where this person is going to be like, okay, that's not my type, and move on. And sure, you can add that not everyone is super shallow. And I'm not trying to say that, of course, physical appearance is all there is, but let's be honest, it's a pretty important, factor, like to such an extent that if you look at a person and you just recognize right off the bat, okay, this is definitely not my type, you're probably going to move on, right? And of course, when you're talking about attraction, of course, there are also things like you could have aspects in synastry that show attraction on an energetic level, but again, I would still go back to what about the beauty ideal of the person, because that's also very important, I would say, maybe for some more than others. So yes, and pretty much, and this is also the last thing I want to say as a closing idea, that I think when it comes to, first of all, like, I personally am not against surgery or anything. And I've seen a lot of women who have had surgeries and they look great, but I can't help but wonder with respect to this topic of how altering their appearance has maybe created more obstacles for them in their love lives. And also, let's not forget that you might attract a lot of shallow individuals, especially if you're a woman and you are, also by constantly altering your appearance, it also just gives this signal off of I'm not happy about what I look like, So it automatically, I think, especially for women, but also for men, sends this message of, kind of maybe in a way being desperate for validation, and it might actually attract lower quality individuals to you in a like, backhanded way, or men who are very shallow and just look for arm candy, but are not really interested in a meaningful relationship. You know what I mean? Just as far as I've noticed, all right? But if you want to do it right, I would say, again, just based on my observations and my opinions, it's the ones who get surgery just to enhance their natural looks probably have it best, like maybe, just doing some regeneration treatments or whatever, not severely altering their features to such an extent that they're unrecognizable. But even things like, just even slight procedures, like I mentioned, they all kind of alter your appearance, maybe a little, maybe less, but they could all have the same effect of creating confusion about who might find you attractive, really. So this is pretty much what I wanted to say, and I'm very curious to hear your opinions in the comment section. And again, if you have liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, click on the notifications bell. And also, if you're interested in a private consultation, you can check out the video description. I will leave my contact information there. You can email me for reading options and pricing lists. And also, if you're interested to find out more about the membership sections and what they entail, you can check the introductory part to this video where I have gone through a rundown of the perks. All right, so thank you very much for listening, and I hope to see you at my next video.